Welcome back everyone, and for those that are new, welcome. I'm DarkHour717. Today we're going to be taking a look at patch 317 with a post-launch review. With a rocky start, we'll look at the progression through the PTU and final push to the live PU. Before we get started though, if you enjoy these videos, please help out and hit the like and subscribe button. Currently only 11% of viewers are actually subscribed, and if we can just get a fraction of the other 88%, we're going to hit that 5,000 subscriber mark in no time. I personally want to say thank you to all that have already subscribed. It really does mean a lot to me. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video to see how you can be entered for a chance to win the Mist Expanse with the Stardust Paint and LTI. Patch 317 did get released into the PTU several weeks ago, and it was not at all in great shape, with many issues right off the bat, and by issues I mean it was bad enough that CIG listed a warning that the patch and the experience backers were going to have would be highly questionable and buggy. And by no means was this an understatement. With many having login issues, infinite load screens, inventory issues, and ship spawning issues, many people were able to find workarounds, but as a group, Amarok's Fang for the majority could play through, although we did suffer a high number of 30k crashes. Shortly after its launch, that following Friday, a patch was pushed out to the PTU that nearly made it entirely unplayable, increasing the occurrences of inability to log in, assets such as elevators unavailable, ships that would never spawn, and overall an absolute meltdown of the PTU. So much so that I could not even get in and play for 4 days. But then we started to see a turnaround on that following Tuesday with a new patch. Stability actually began improving. Though many issues were still present, we saw vast improvement as they moved forward. With each subsequent patch after that, we saw increasing performance and better playability and stability, until finally we saw the patch go live this past Friday in a vastly different level of performance than what we saw in its Wave 1 launch. Of course, this is the nature of game development and is not the intended experience CIG hopes for when going through the testing process. But it does show the dedication and hard work of CIG and its developers in the ability to take something so broken and turn around to what we have in the PU now. Though still far from perfect, we need to be honest, in an alpha, there is no perfect. So what did we get with the live launch? Well, 317 brought in a wide array of new items, starting with the introduction of the Mist Hull A. This newest addition into the cargo trade has proven itself a very capable, great beginning level trade runner. With the expansion and contraction mechanics working smoothly, this ship has very few flaws. Of course, some items on the ship does raise questions, such as the inability to keybind the transformation function, meaning that the only way to activate it is through the interact and hit the switch on the dashboard. Also, the two extremely small MFDs at the top of the windscreen are so small that their use is nearly impossible. I will say that the increase from 48 to 64 SCU capacity did edge it out over other small cargo ships and very much made it a great choice for someone wanting to dip into the cargo trade gameplay. 317 also brings in the river system in the water flow aspect. Though only as a single river out in Microtech, this is a significant advancement that will lead to bigger and greater things. This core tech will actually lead into the development of larger bodies of water, including more rivers, lakes, and oceans. And with the announcement in past Star Citizen lives that we know they're going to eventually have underwater missions, including cave exploration and more. Buoyancy is another aspect that is being worked on, in which we may eventually see a ship that can double as a boat or a submarine. The water and river effects will also lead into pyro, with the ability to use the model for things such as lava flow and lava pools. So as we move toward the future of Star Citizen, we have seen the implementation of the Gen 12 renderer. And this brings us on the road to Vulcan. With the announcement that 317 is utilizing the Gen 12 process for static plant-side objects, we're now using a system that utilizes this as well as the legacy systems. Now, this may cause some issues as far as time to load. The work will lead into more performance improvements as more assets in-game make it through the Gen 12 pipeline. Also, they optimize the streaming bubble around a player to improve performance. This, plus the work credited to Christopher Bolt of CIG on the main thread, many of us, if not most, have experienced improved performance and an increase in FPS in places such as New Babbage and Orison, getting as high as 50 to 60 FPS. This is a great improvement and direction to see the experience of Star Citizen move in. Of course, we see our journey into the medical gameplay near completion. We now have the major medical facility on Lorville, Maria Pure of Heart, as well as unique clinic layouts on the Lagrange and orbital stations. With this, we have also seen the separation of inventory between City and its sister orbital station. Now, unique unto itself, these two locations will no longer be meshed together in a single inventory pool. This, of course, is not seen by all as something good, and the convenience of having them tied directly together was nice. The reality is that for in-depth immersion, it is necessary to separate them. While it will take some getting used to, for most it will not be a huge issue. Of course, this brings in additional inventory improvements that we saw with the increasing of the ship's ability and available internal personal cargo space, as the long-awaited and hoped-for ability to transport ship components within your own cargo area has come to be. This means no more claiming of your ship over and over at different points to apply components purchased, or worse yet, buying everything then character reset to get them all into one local inventory. This ability, though small, was much wished for and has now been implemented, and it's working beautifully. Other areas of inventory that has seen added features is the buying and selling of gear and lootables. Now you're no longer required to keep massive numbers of items in your inventory that you can now sell back. Everything from even your hospital gowns to your overages of weapons, making a little bit of AUEC on the side for the extras that you have. Now, originally, it was expected to include a sell all button so that you could do large quantity sales. This function unfortunately did not make it in, and if you go and increase the quantity number on the console when you try to sell, it does not appear to work correctly. And with the screen resetting to the top after every sale, the convenience of this function is somewhat lost. Though I expect that we will see bug fixes and improvements as time goes on, and it's only a temporary issue. Mining, which is one of the most detailed and fleshed out gameplay loops in Star Citizen, has received yet another advancement in the use of the mining gadgets. With 5 different gadgets to choose from, you're no longer as limited as you were in the size of rocks that you can mine in a solo Prospector. And the availability to make AUEC is opened wide up with this new feature. Simple to use and amazingly reusable, as long as you don't overcharge the rock. The effects from this will add on to the effects provided by the mining laser and modules that you have installed on it, making it so that as of now, even breaking something as big as 7700 mass in a Prospector possible. Keep in mind, it is not as simple as slap a couple on and you're good to go. You still need to find the correct combination with the gadgets along with your mining laser that will be most beneficial, and skill is still required. But being they are stackable and no limit really as to how many can be placed on a rock, these are actually a great addition. Just be warned though that you do have to get out of your vehicle to place them on, as well as pick them up after breaking the rock, and currently we are seeing some that do unexplainably disappear after the rock has been broken. Another great thing with mining is of course the fix to the Prospector UI and HUD. No longer overly bright and unreadable, the UI has returned to its original resolution and brightness, taking the strain off of trying to make some AUEC through this gameplay loop. Mining did take one minor setback this patch though with the scanning function. Though able to still pick up rocks at a great distance, ability to identify number of rocks and their material breakdown has been greatly reduced. Though after testing in a group mining expedition in live, we found this really did not have much of a negative effect on our scouting ships, and flying solo in a Prospector, I did not really find it to be much of a hassle. But it is something to be aware of that you will need to be much closer, usually at or below 200 meters, to really scan and get a breakdown of what the materials inside the rock are. Refueling has also made its way into patch 3.17 with the first iteration of this much needed function to help support the pyro system. As I've mentioned before, not so much a need inside the Stanton system, it'll definitely be much needed once we see the implementation of pyro, as refueling sites are going to be few and far between in an area vastly larger than Stanton, and those you do find will likely not be friendly. The functionality of this feature is working near flawlessly with only a couple of minor issues involving the Valkyrie. Though we were unable to replicate this problem, be aware you may still encounter it, which is the fact the Valkyrie continuously tilts instead of staying stationary when connected to the boom arm. I'll be honest, refueling really does make it seem as though pyro is right around the corner as we prepare for the fact that resources will not be available when they are needed and will need to become more self-sufficient. So this is really a much anticipated and actually fun gameplay loop, and one of the easiest to learn. I'm going to put a link to my guide to refueling with the Starfarer right above, so check that out. We also saw the introduction of the desync network update to make improvements in the ship-to-ship desync, allowing other players' ship to update closer to real time. And of course, this does little for other desync issues, it is still a huge improvement over the previous patch. Also long awaited as well, we saw the addition of the Aegis Redeemer, the Anvil Spartan, the Argo Raft, the Consolidated Outland Hover Quad, the A2 Hercules Starlifter, the Ares Ion, Ares Inferno, Origin 400i, and the Drake Cutlass Steel, all implemented into the game as purchasable in-game ships. And finally, the last one I'm going to mention is probably the biggest quality of life improvement of Star Citizen, the one-touch ATC landing request. This has been asked for since I can remember, and we finally have it in game. No more will we waste time going through the Mobiglass or the Comms MFD to ask for landing assignments. By default though, this is not bound, and you are going to have to go into your advanced controls to flight movement, then scroll down to landing request and bind it to any key that you like. And not really surprisingly, this is a favorite new feature of many players that I know, and one that is extremely long overdue. Patch 317 is so much more than what I'm mentioning here, and a link to all the notes will be in the description. These really are just some of the major items and features that have come to us in 317, but of course does not come without a list of known issues as well. A number of these we have experienced though, the majority we have not been able to duplicate within the org. And as a mention to some of the most major ones you could run into, you're going to see possibly the fact that ships could explode on exit, combat assistance missions failing to progress, combat AI can become jittery or teleport, inability to interact with the raft's elevator controls, medical beacon missions do not complete or pay out, Mobiglass and head can be missing after release from Klesher, ship's targeting pip can disappear or be missing, making it impossible to target a contact. Due to desync improvements, you may also need to lead a target a bit more to land your shots due to a timing issue. And weapon holster and unholster unexpectedly, and this one we've actually encountered and found that you can actually counter it by wiping your visor with the Alt-X, and it seems to clear it up. There's others listed that are more minor, so I recommend checking out the list for the full details. There of course is a massive list of over 40 bug fixes. These range from corrections in ship's paint application to major ship claiming issues and other playability concerns. Check that link for the full notes so that you can check those all out. They're a bit much to go over here. Patch 317 really did start with a very questionable performance level and got much worse before it got better. And honestly, it even reached the point in which some were questioning when it would finally be released. With Invictus drawing closer and the knowledge that 317.1 will likely come with it, as well as more added items like the RSI Scorpius, some backers were becoming deeply concerned if we would see it anytime soon. I have always been an advocate of do the right thing and take the time to make it the best that you can. CIG is no stranger to cutting it close to events, as we know from last year's Invictus as well as other events throughout the year. What I will say is the path of 317 was a bumpy one, but one that we all endured and we all have benefited from in the fact that the release we have to live is stable. The new features work amazingly well with very few issues. The playability of the final patch that is in live is truly nothing like what we experienced with Wave 1. And I thank all the developers and designers at CIG for producing an amazing and fun experience in the final project that they built. The difference between initial release and final really does show their skills and talents, and why Star Citizen is an absolute pleasure to play and one of the most, if not best, MMO space sim out there, and it has not even officially been released yet. Let me know what you think though, and what your favorite part of patch 317 is, or if you've had a different experience. Leave a comment below. I definitely enjoy hearing from everybody. And also remember, get your entries in for May's giveaway, which is going to be a Miss Expanse with the Stardust paint and LTI. Just subscribe here and leave a comment on any video and you'll automatically be entered. You can also get a second entry by heading over to Twitch and giving a follow over there. Winner's going to be drawn on June 1st, and you can also catch the stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday over on Twitch at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope to see everybody there, and if you'd like to help support the channel, visit the merch store, the Patreon, or give a super thanks here on YouTube. All of that goes right back into our giveaways that we give back to the community. You can also click that join button above and become a member for as little as 99 cents per month. I really do appreciate all the support from everyone, and please be safe out there, and we will catch you next time.